I did the SIBO diet wrong for an entire year and I finally got it right. And so I want to share the mistakes I made and give some clarity and enhancement to Dr. William Davis's 4-week protocol for SIBO and healing the gut. So hopefully you guys don't have to do a whole year journey like I did. Going into Dr. Williams' 4-week protocol, the first week he says to prepare the soil. And this is taking out things like sugar, sweeteners, thickening agents. He wants you to eat all organic food, minimize certain prescription drugs, which I won't be recommending that you should talk to your doctor about. He emphasizes adding in certain nutrients like vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, magnesium, iodine, and he also has you incorporate drinking clove green tea and taking curcumin supplements. So that's week 1. Week 2 is about reseeding the garden. So this is while still doing week 1, so not eating any sugar or any of the no grains, that's a big one. So no wheat, rice, oats, none of that. Anyway, going into week 2, you're putting all the good probiotics in. So this is either by taking probiotics or making your own homemade yogurt with certain probiotic strains that are good for healing the gut. So that's week 2, is adding in probiotics. Week 3 is fiber. You're just adding fiber. You're feeding the seeds you already planted, and you're adding fiber. And Dr. Davis emphasizes eating things like beans or legumes, low sugar fruit. He specifically calls out unripe bananas and plantains, raw potatoes, certain things like that. And he has a very specific list that also kind of like made me confused on if that's the only things I could eat, or if I ate a strawberry, would that ruin my gut? And so it left me with a few questions. And then week 4 is simply just kind of personalizing the probiotics you're taking. So if you are wanting better skin, then there's a certain probiotic for that. If you're wanting better mood or wanting to help fix depression, there's a probiotic for that. So there's different probiotics that you can cater to your healing journey, which is super cool. And that's all week 4. And then there's no end. There's he just kind of just doesn't say what you should keep doing, what you can stop doing once your gut's healed. And so I was left with a lot of questions. But instead of getting my questions answered, I just jumped right in. I was like, I'm already doing pretty much everything you need to do in week 1. I'm eating organic. I'm not eating any processed food. I'm not eating thickening agents. I'm good. I can just jump in. I'll figure out the probiotics along the way. Big mistake. I should have made a plan, because that's probably what led to it becoming a year-long thing, because I didn't have everything I needed. And then I finally got the yogurt made, and I finally got fermented foods. And so it was a whole thing that if I just planned it out first and made sure I had all the probiotics, was already making the yogurt, and then started the program, I think it would have been 4 weeks instead of a year long. I was also really stubborn about making sure I could find the best prices for the probiotics that I wanted. And then I didn't want to buy the super expensive fermented foods in the store, but then I wasn't at all prepared to make my own fermented foods, so that got delayed way longer than it should have. And then I just spent way too much time researching probiotics. I also struggled with the fact that when I started week 3, which is when you're supposed to add in fiber, I was still trying to fully incorporate week 1, but then if I can't have sugar in any form, how am I supposed to eat fruit? And can I only eat an unripe banana? And that was like so confusing to me. So I was just like way too limited on what I was allowing myself to eat. And that was detrimental to my gut. Lastly, of my mistakes is I cared too much. I cared too much about what I was putting in my body. I cared too much about all my symptoms. I cared too much about doing it right. I cared too much about saving money. I cared too much about too many things. And I did not get rid of my bloating until I just let go and stopped caring and enjoyed the food I was eating and enjoyed being around people and just had fun and let go and not focus on my health so much. And that's when I ironically got better and felt better, and I wish I did that a lot sooner. So don't stress the small stuff, which Dr. William Davis literally tells you to sweat the small stuff, because I think he's referring to like the little gut microbiome is small, but that was detrimental to me because I was sweating the small stuff and I wasn't healing. So the clarity that I needed from all these mistakes was learned over time. So week 1, the no sugars and no grains rule is not permanent. You, in fact, add in the sugars via fruit on week 3. A lot of other programs, gut healing programs, actually incorporate rice and oats into the foods that you can eat during the protocol. So there is not a ton of evidence that oats and rice increase gut permeability. There is about refined wheat, which there are studies coming out about freshly milled flour. So we'll stay tuned for that and hopefully be okay to eat our freshly milled flour without increasing our gut permeability. But you can, in fact, add in things after your gut is healed. I also added in honey. Honey has a lot of good gut healing benefits, and it helps survivability of probiotics as well, which is super cool. So that was one of the some of the clarity points for week 1 that I needed. But it is important for the first 2 weeks to not eat any sugar and no grains, because you're starving the bad bacteria out. So that's super important for the first 2 weeks. And then once you have the good bacteria in, you feed it. So that, for some reason, even though it's laid out, I just didn't have clarity. I really was just like, I can only eat a raw potato and that's it for my fiber. Not true. So my week 2 clarity points that I learned along the way is I just wish that I had my yogurt ready before I even came to week 2, but it was not. And so I was continuing week 1 for several weeks until I finally had all the probiotics to make my yogurt. And then I finally made my yogurt, and it was really easy, but I waited a long time before I made my yogurt. So I wish that I just had it all planned out prior to me going into week 2, because then I wasn't actually being able to start week 2, which means 3 and 4 were also delayed. So immediately after week 1, my 4-week program could not be a 4-week program. It had to be longer, unless I just stopped it and started all over again. But I didn't do that. Plan it out, have your yogurt ready. It is really easy to make. And I will link the probiotics that I found for the SIBO yogurt. They're the cheapest and highest quality that I could find. And so hopefully all my research blesses you so that you don't have to spend hours upon hours finding the right one. The L. reuteri bacteria does have some other ingredients that I wish it didn't, but it's added to your yogurt and then it'll dwindle in time. So don't stress the small stuff. So moving on to week 3, I wish that I just ate fiber and ate whatever made me happy, ate whatever made me feel good. But I was, again, just so like hung up on the specific foods that he listed that I wasn't allowing myself to eat anything that wasn't listed, and I wasn't getting all the good benefits that I should have been getting from putting all those good probiotics in. I wasn't feeding them, so they were just going through my body essentially. And so just have fun and eat your fiber in, if that's berries, if that's fruit, vegetables, whatever isn't making you bloated and go crazy. Week 4, I was like, aren't I already doing this because I chose what yogurt I'm making already, so I already chose the probiotics I want. So I was a little confused why week 4 is literally just like adding whatever certain probiotic you want, but that was already kind of done in week 2. And then there's no end, because there's not. Dr. William Davis wants this to be a lifestyle and not just a 4-week program. He fooled us all. It is a lifestyle. And the 4-week program totally helps you get into eating better for your gut. However, it leaves you with unended questions like, can I ever eat rice again? Can I eat oats ever again? And I am here to tell you that you can. And if you're having gut issues with those foods, maybe wait until you're more healed. But I just was like left in the open of like, okay, what do I keep doing? What do I not keep doing? So you don't have to always take a curcumin supplement, especially if you feel like your inflammation's down and you're managing it in other ways. But it is really helpful in kind of dampening inflammation. Omega-3 fatty acids are also helpful for inflammation, so I highly recommend taking those. You can continue to drink the clove green tea, but honestly, I got tired of it really quickly, and there are so many other herbs that help line your gut with good mucus. Slippery elm, marshmallow are a couple. There's so many, plantain leaf, that are so healing for your gut and so fun to explore. You can totally add in like honey and maple syrup, so long as your gut can take it. And again, just don't sweat the small stuff. You can try it, if it doesn't work, take it out, and then maybe a year later you can eat it no problem. So it's definitely something you should make personalized. I highly recommend planning it out before you start. Even if you're like, oh, I can go ahead and start eating no sugar, no grains, just plan it out. Just keep doing what you're doing right now. Make the full plan, get all the probiotics, start making the yogurt, start making your own sauerkraut, or if you're okay with to buy the sauerkraut, buy the sauerkraut. Have all the supplements that you think you want to add in. Talk to your doctor about decreasing, potential prescriptions. That's his recommendation, not mine. That'll set you up for success for the 4 weeks instead of a year. Moving on to my enhancements. What I would do to make the program 1,000,000 times better is add bone broth. Dr. Davis completely omitted bone broth from his protocol. It's so good for you. It has collagen, it has just amazing nutrients to help heal your gut, soothing. So good for you. I would add healing herbs. I already mentioned a couple of them, and I have only recently discovered them. I wish I discovered them at the beginning, but look into gut healing herbs. I will try to do a video on them because it's amazing and super fun to explore different herbs. And remember to have fun. Have fun. Go hang out with friends. Go to the park. Go on a hike, journal, bask in the sun, just have fun and don't stress about your health because your gut-brain connection goes both ways. And so if you're stressed in the head, your gut will be stressed. So hopefully this is hopeful and clarifying message for those who are either looking into starting the SIBO diet or have done it and it hasn't worked for one way or another. Let me know if you guys have tried the SIBO diet and what has worked for you for healing your gut, what hasn't worked for you. I am super curious. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.